Hey YouTube world, what's going on? Mark here from TST Industries, back in the garage with another installation video. And as you can see in front of me, I have a full suite of products, and then behind me, I have a beautiful 3rd generation 2021 Yamaha MT-07. In this installation video, we will be referencing the installation on Yamaha's R7, and these are for 2 individual components, the Womet-Tech engine slider and the Womet-Tech case saver. These, as I mentioned, are individual items, but paired together can provide ample crash protection. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so to begin, you will be focusing on these 4 bolts on the left side crankcase. Included in this Womet-Tech case saver package, you will have the individual case saver. You will have 4 machined spacers, all of the same length, and 4 longer bolts, all of the same length. You will also get a set of paper instructions, which you can just chuck. We won't need those. But if you want to keep them on hand, they're always handy to have. So to begin, you will take your 5mm hex key and begin removing these bolts. Now it is important to note, I put a rag down here. Behind this case, there is engine oil. If you recently had your bike on a kickstand, or if you recently ran your bike, there's a really good chance that there is oil behind here, and a little may spill out. Don't be alarmed, that is fairly normal. I have a rag here just to keep it safe and to keep my workspace clean. So let's go ahead and begin by removing these 4 bolts. You can push them to the side. And after removing these last 2 bolts, I can tell that Yamaha did apply a little bit of Loctite on these 2 bottom ones. So don't be alarmed if you're trying to loosen them and they're a little bit tighter. Or when you go to install the new ones, if there's a little bit of resistance. Next up, now that those bolts are removed, you want to superimpose this over the case. Make sure the bolt holes line up. You want to make sure that you're not off axis by any means. And you want to grab one of the bolts and one of these spacers. And I like to start at the top left. Once you have it superimposed by hand, you want to slowly start threading that bolt into its receiving feature. Just want to go by hand. It's still loose. You can see I have a lot of play here, but it keeps it in place while I go ahead and start tightening the other 3 bolts. Now that they all have a little bit of thread engagement, I'm actually going to one by one back them out a tiny bit and then begin tightening them down to ensure that we did not cross thread. And like I said, these bottom 2, you can actually, I am feeling a little bit of resistance. I'm not alarmed just yet. I do believe that that is purely because of the Loctite, the thread locking chemical that Yamaha used from the factory. Once you have all 4 tightened down, like I said, I kind of went in a zigzag pattern just to ensure that everything was sitting flush on this case saver. At this point, I can go ahead and grab our torque wrench. And you want to adjust this torque wrench to 96 inch-pounds or 8 foot-pounds. We have a small inch-pound torque wrench here with the 5mm adapter for the hex key. So we're going to go ahead and adjust it to 96 inch-pounds. Perfect. And again, one by one, I'm going to go in a cross pattern. This installation is complete. At this point, if you did have any spillage or leak, oil leak, you can take your shop rag or a cloth, just clean up the surface, make sure that you don't burn any oil as you go out for your next ride. You can put your tools away, clean up your work surface, and you're good to go. However, we do want to go ahead and install the engine slider, so we're going to go ahead and hop right into that installation. Now moving on to the engine slider. this is the Delrin piece that is actually going to replace this OEM cover that is located on the left side crankcase. For this, you will need a 12 and a 14 millimeter hex keys along with your torque wrench. And again, I have my shop rag just in case. So opening the box provided by Womet-Tech, you can see here some nice packaging. Got some die cut foam. We have our actual engine slider. This is the Delrin piece, which is similar to what's made frame sliders are made out of. We have an O-ring. You are going to want to make sure that you use this O-ring. And we have a little plastic cap. We also have some stickers, instructions, the basics. So at this point, we'll go ahead and toss this to the side. No longer need it. Want to go ahead and grab your 14 millimeter hex key. You can put it on the torque wrench or do it by hand. It's probably easiest if you put it on a tool, and you're going to want to rotate. There we go. I'm going to break it loose and then take it off of the tool, and by hand you can simply unscrew this. And as before, there is oil behind this. There's a little oil residue on here. That's actually kind of nice because at this point we need to seat this O-ring in the channel on the inner portion, the inner face of this Delrin cap. So what I'm going to simply do is take a little bit of this oil on my finger and apply it onto this O-ring. It's gonna lubricate it a little bit so there's no dry friction, and so that the O-ring doesn't accidentally get bound up and crack or snap. At this point, you can go ahead and superimpose it on the face. And what I like to do is actually go counterclockwise to ensure you are sitting flush. Just make sure that you aren't going to cross thread. Once you feel comfortable, by hand, you're going to want to simply tighten this down until you start feeling a good bit of resistance. This is Delrin. This is a malleable material. It's pretty soft. If you tighten it too much with the tool, you will strip this face. So just keep that in mind. At this point, you can take the 12 millimeter hex key, put it on your torque wrench, and we're going to tighten this down to 88.5 inch-pounds or 7.4 foot-pounds. And again, this is a soft material, so you want to make sure that one, you're sitting flush on the face, and two, you do not over tighten it. Oh. There it is. You can remove your tool, and the cap that was included is a black cap. We do sell different colors: silver, red, blue, gold, and white. The black is included for free by default. At this point, if you want the cap on, you can place it on the cover nice and straight, and with that straight, or in whatever orientation you want, superimpose it and just apply some pressure, and it'll pop right into the recess and be locked in. Take your shop rag. If you got any of your oily fingers on this piece, may have left a little bit of shiny glimmer, you can wipe it down, clean up your work area, and this installation is now complete. So thank you for joining me on that journey as I illustrated the installation process of these two individual items paired together, the Womet-Tech engine slider and the Womet-Tech case saver, all for the Yamaha MT-07. That installation was shown on the R7, but as you can see, fit and function is exactly the same, and the installation process hasn't changed either. So if you want to see this or any other products we may have available for your bike, stop by our website, tstindustries.com. The link is in the description as always. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. We'd love to hear from you. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn that notification bell on. And lastly, stop by our social media pages: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, username TST Industries. You know where to find us. This is Mark from TST Industries. Catch you guys next time.